Hi, thank you for joining us for this latest installment of What Was Jesus Up To During Holy Week? Today is Palm Sunday. See, I've got my palm branches. More about that in a moment. First, Jesus decided on that Palm Sunday to ride in to Jerusalem on a donkey. Not a horse, but a donkey. If he had chosen to ride in on a horse, it would have meant that he was a king coming for the purpose of warfare. But coming in on a donkey, it meant that he was coming in as a king prepared to make peace. After all, he taught the way of peace. He was a peacemaker. And he said, "Blessed are those who are peacemakers." And he's known as the Prince of Peace. Jesus came to make peace, not war. That's so much like Jesus, to offer the best of God to people, the way of peace. And secondly, Jesus paused as he continued his journey to Jerusalem. He paused on a mount that overlooked the city. And there he took a moment, and there as he looked at the city, he wept. He wept because he recognized that there are so many that would not receive him. He came for all people, but it caused him pain that there were those who rejected him. Jesus came for all, loved all. His heart yearned to gather all people to himself, but some would not. Jesus, though, holds the door open for all to enter into relationship with Jesus. It's never too late, and there's always an opportunity to receive that love of Christ. It's so much like Jesus to leave the door open for us. Even if we resist him, there's still an opportunity to enter in. It's so much like Jesus. And then secondly, next, Jesus rides into the city. And there he's greeted by the crowds, and they shout, "Hosanna," which means save us, save us. And that's what Jesus was coming to do. They called him Son of David. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. They recognized him and gave him the adulation. They waved the palm branches, laid them down in front of him as a celebratory exercise of welcome to a king. And so they recognized him as king, but he's a different king than the one perhaps they expected. The leaders of their religion, the scribes, the Pharisees, Sadducees, called out to Jesus to quiet down the crowds, but Jesus said no, they're celebrating what God is doing. And then, lastly, on that day, Jesus went into the temple, and there he looked around and saw people who were hurting, who were wounded, who were blind and lame, and he went in and healed many. And that's so much like Jesus. Even though he was resisted, even though he was discouraged by religious people, Jesus still found opportunities to heal and to save and to renew. And that's so much like Jesus, to keep on being who he is. That's a wrap-up on what Jesus did on that Palm Sunday. And it reminds us that Jesus, no matter what is happening around him, he continues to offer himself, to offer grace, to offer healing, and to offer life. It's so much like Jesus. Join us tomorrow for our next installment of What Was Jesus Up To? I'll see you then.